Hello, welcome to the Automated Tester. I'm your host, Jonathan Rasmussen. In this episode, we're going to take a look at how to set up and install Selenium. Selenium is a popular UI testing framework that lets testers and developers write automated UI tests using their favorite web browsers. And in this episode, we're going to learn how to create a brand new Selenium project, test it out against a real live web page, and we're going to do it all using the intelliJ Community Edition along with the Chrome WebDriver, all on a Mac. So let's begin. While you don't actually need any fancy editor to create or run Selenium tests, using one like intelliJ CE or Eclipse can make getting started easier, especially if you aren't a developer. My favorite Java editor is intelliJ. I like intelliJ because it's simple, easy to use, and as you'll see shortly, it gets setting up and running your first Selenium test really a breeze. So if you haven't already downloaded it, head over to the JetBrains website, download and install the intelliJ Community Edition. Don't worry, it's free, and come back here when you're done. Selenium works by sending commands to various web browsers through what are known as WebDrivers. The WebDriver we are going to use for this tutorial needs to interface with our Chrome browser. So for us, that would be the Chrome Selenium WebDriver, which we can get here. Simply go to the website, click on the latest release, then click the Mac64 zip link to download to your computer. And once that finishes downloading, open up your Mac Finder and go to where you normally download files from the internet. For most of us, it's the downloads directory. And double click the zip file and voila, you've got your Chrome WebDriver downloaded and ready to go. If you aren't a Java developer, creating a new Selenium project can be a little daunting at first, but it's not that bad after you've done it a few times. Let's start by opening up our intelliJ CE editor and creating a new project, just like this. Select Create New Project, select Maven, then press Next, and enter some information for group ID and artifact ID. Click Next and finish again. And voila! We have our very first Java project, built using a Java configuration tool known as Maven. Maven is one of many ways you can set up and configure a new project in Java. What's nice about Maven is that by copying and pasting a few little snippets of XML, we can completely set up and configure our project so it's ready to use and run Selenium. Simply copy the text below, putting it below the model version line on your Maven POM file, and bam, we've just set up and configured all the Java libraries we need for our project to run. That's it. Click that little blue Enable Auto Import link in the lower right-hand portion of your screen, and all the files required for our project should automatically be downloaded and set up. Your POM file should now look like this. Okay, now that we've set up our libraries, the next thing we need to do is write a test. We are going to write a test that connects to the Google search screen, looks up something we find interesting, and then sits there for about 5 seconds while it displays the results. Not exactly a real business test that checks numbers on a spreadsheet or logs us into a system, but a good enough test to confirm that we've got Selenium set up and that things are up and running. To create our test, we need to create a test class or file to hold our test code. We can create one by expanding the arrows on the source and test files in our project directory, clicking the Java test folder, and then going File, New, Java Class. Let's give our new class a name like Hello Selenium Test. And then into this blank test file we just created, let's copy the following test code. This is a JUnit test that contains the necessary code and instructions to run Selenium. At the top, we've got our import statements. In the middle, we have the name of our test case, test connect to Google. And then under that, we have the Chrome driver, the library that lets us open up a Chrome browser and remote control it. There's a sleep command in there to keep the test from running too fast. 5,000 means about 5 seconds. And then there's some other commands for accessing the Google search box, entering some text we find interesting, and then sending the command to click the search button. Now, before all this is going to work, there's one final change we need to make. we need to tell Selenium where it can find the Chrome driver we downloaded earlier at the start of the tutorial. To do that, we need to change this line here. If you know where you downloaded the Chrome web driver onto your computer, type the full path to it here. If you don't know where you downloaded it, watch what I do here to find out where it might be. Open a terminal by going Command Space and then start typing the word terminal. Press Enter, and then at your terminal prompt type cd downloads, enter, ls, enter, pwd, enter. This is where on your Mac by default files get downloaded to. And if you don't see your file here, that means you or someone else has changed by default where the files get downloaded when you download things from the internet. But for most of us, our files will end up here. The text we are interested in is what appeared when we typed that word pwd. Copy that path or type it into the Selenium test on that line that we need to change. This one here. For me, that line looks like this. Okay, we're now ready to run our test. Let's head back to the test, click Run, Run, then press Enter to select our Google test, and then stand back and watch it go. Now don't be alarmed if you don't see anything. It may be because Chrome started in the background behind your other browser window, ran, and you didn't even see it. Try resizing some windows, run it again, and hopefully you will see the following in your intelliJ browser and your test. It should all look something like this. And that's it, your first Selenium test. Let's quickly recap what we did here. We created a brand new Java project, configured it to run Selenium, pointed it at our Chrome WebDriver, and then tested it out. Congratulations, you did it. You're now ready to dig in and learn more about Selenium and everything else there is about automated testing. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Until next time, happy testing.